You're listening to the Junior Birdman Podcast.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Junior Birdman Podcast. I am your host, the Junior Birdman. If you like this show, make sure you click the like button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell for updates, and share this channel and the videos with your friends. Today, we have our old friend Gil, a helicopter pilot, on the show. He's been on the show a few times in the past. We're all good friends with him. He's going to join us and talk about some of his experiences in the past, being a helicopter pilot, and some of the fun stories he has. Gil, thanks for joining us here. Good to chat with you again.
Thank you very much, Birdman. It is wonderful to talk with you again.
Always a fun. So you started out in the military, right? That's where you learned to fly?
Yes, I flew in the Air Force for many years as a helicopter pilot.
And then after that, you went to work in Colorado to do rescue missions in the Rockies, I heard.
No, I never actually worked in Colorado. I did many missions in Colorado and several rescue missions around Colorado, but never worked officially in Colorado.
Oh, I heard you did missions in the Rocky Mountains where you were saving people there.
No, not officially in Colorado, but I had some very, very rocky missions.
Okay. What was the closest call you think you've ever had in a helicopter?
For only recently, I flew into a whole flock of birds.
Birds?
Scared the bird doo-doo out of me.
You call it a bird, too, a helicopter, even like a...
Yes, I call it a bird even when I hit birds.
Gotcha. How far up were you when you hit the birds?
I was only about 200 feet in the air when the birds hit, but that's high enough for you to crash and kill yourself if you're not careful. I was very lucky.
Yeah, for sure. Was there anybody on board with you at the time?
No, there was nobody on board with me at the time. I was flying solo, just me and the birds.
I heard you flew your niece into her 18th birthday party, too, and like freaked out all her friends and made her a big star.
I did. It was her 18th birthday party. She wanted to impress all of her friends and asked her Uncle Gil to drop her into the party and make a big splash for her, and she loved it, and all of her friends thought she was so cool.
Nice. Very nice.
I had another party recently where I did the same for some other friends.
Oh, okay. That's kind of cool. What kind of party was that?
That one was a rooftop party in New York City. I made quite an entrance.
Wow. You landed on a rooftop? How do you land on a rooftop in New York City?
Well, you have to be very careful. It takes a lot of skill to land a helicopter on a rooftop. You have to have the right training and experience to do it safely. The key is you want to approach the landing area slowly. You have to come in very steady. Make sure you account for all the wind and all the other factors and keep the helicopter stable. And when you're close enough, you'll have to gradually reduce your altitude until you touch down. You have to have a nice, gentle touchdown. It's definitely not for the faint of heart.
Doesn't sound like it. Was it a big roof at least? Like a large area?
It was a decent-sized rooftop, but still relatively small compared to a typical helicopter landing pad. Definitely required some precise flying, but I was able to make it work.
What is like the minimum sized pad you need to land safely for a helicopter?
Well, generally you want a landing pad that's as big as you can get, but at least about 60 feet in diameter should be good for most helicopters, at least the smaller ones. If you have one up to 100 feet, of course, that's bigger. The main factor can be what's around it now, so you'll have to watch out for trees and buildings, and you have to be careful of weather and wind and rain and everything else. And the people on the ground, you can't chop people's heads off when you're flying your helicopter and trying to land it.
That's for sure. Did you get to go to the party at least, where you dropped off your friends? Did you get to attend?
Yes, I did get to attend that party. It was wonderful, and at the end of the night, I took off again, so I had my own ride.
Nice. Okay. It was a big party. What was the party
Oh,
like
it was
itself?
a huge, huge party. There was lots of food. There was music all night. There were people dancing. And here I am like a fool in my flight suit looking. I had my jacket on. I looked like an idiot. Here are these people in tuxedos and suits, and here I am looking like a fool in a flight jacket. I put on my glasses to try to make myself look cool, but I still looked like a
Yeah.
fool the whole night. Now it was quite fun. I got to talk to a lot of
Yeah.
nice people. I had some really good food. I got to talk and meet a lot of interesting people. It was actually a very good night.
Can't beat a fool with a helicopter. Now, somebody told me that that's how you met your ex-wife. Actually, at one of these events, they said that you flew in, the guest of honor, a friend of yours. You wanted to impress everybody. You got there. You met this woman who turned out to be your ex-wife, and she was more impressed by you than she was impressed by him. He was like supposed to try to impress her, and
Well, that's an interesting story. I'm really not sure your audience wants to hear all the details of that story, though.
of course they want to hear it. Of course they do. So I heard you flew into the event. You gave a speech. She wasn't even listening to him. She was like blowing him off the whole night and just watching you. And you were talking.
Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to tell the story.
Yes.
Okay, well, here goes. So, my friend asked me to fly him into a big event for his company. He was making a big announcement for his company. He wanted to look like a big wig, so he asked me, his friend Gil, to fly him in, and I said, sure. He gave me some money. I said, I'll fly you into the
Uh-huh.
event. You'll look like a big superstar, and I did. And he landed, and everything was great, and I parked the helicopter, and as I'm walking over, here's this beautiful woman. I mean, she was gorgeous,
Okay. Your
gorgeous.
ex-wife.
And I'm sitting there like a fool. I look like an idiot, like I'm out of place, but she's over there and she comes and asks me about flying helicopters. And I start talking with her and I notice that my friend is giving a speech and she's not even paying attention. And only later do I find out that the whole reason he did this was to try to impress her. And it turned out that I was there and I guess I ended up stealing his girl.
You sly dog. How often did you fly with your ex-wife in the helicopter?
My ex-wife didn't like to fly. She liked to talk about helicopters and flying, but I couldn't get her in a helicopter for nothing. Believe you me, I never ever made it to the Mile High Club with my
I
ex-wife.
didn't even know that was a thing. Do you meet a lot of attractive women as a helicopter pilot?
Well, as you know, Birdman, with my gorgeous physique, it doesn't take being a helicopter pilot to get women. I have them walking off of me. Now, of course, you mean a lot of women out there. A pilot is something all women want to meet. They love me, especially when I show up with my aviator shades. I look so
I
cool.
bet you do. All right, so you've flown for many, many years, a long time. What would you say is the easiest helicopter to fly?
There's really no such thing as an easy helicopter to fly. Every model is different. Everything has unique characteristics. They all have their own special quirks. Every pilot has to learn every helicopter. You have to learn to fly your bird specially. It becomes your bird. You know, some of the ones I've liked and have mastered. I think maybe the best for beginners would be maybe the Robinson R22 is a good one.
Okay. What's the R? What is? How big is the R-22? Is it a good? Why they?
The R-22 is a small helicopter, very small. It only suits two people, a pilot and a passenger. You can only fit about 800 pounds in there, so you don't have a lot of room. It's really mostly used for training or personal transportation, light duty. It's not a big, huge
So
aircraft.
would that be a good model then for rescue missions, for flyovers, for survey flights, and things like that?
Well, you could certainly use the R-22 for rescue missions and flyovers. It's probably not the best helicopter for a rescue mission.
Okay.
It can do a lot of things and has a lot of capabilities, but maybe not the best for a rescue mission. You would maybe prefer to use something like a Bell 407 or A Eurocopter, those are probably better for those type of operations. The R-22 is still very reliable. It's a good helicopter. You can use it for a wide variety of other applications like cartography or sightseeing tours or even just personal transportation. But it's probably not the best if you're doing rescue missions.
Tell me a little bit more about the Bell 407. What's the Bell 407 like?
Well, the Bell 407 is a very popular bird. It has a lot of operations, a wide variety of uses. They use it in law enforcement. They use it in emergency medical services. They use it in offshore transportation. They use it in search and rescue. It has a big cabin. You can put about 6 passengers in there. It's very fast. It has a long range. It has a very advanced systems. It's got a very powerful engine and a strong airframe. It can withstand a lot of conditions. It's very well suited for many different operations, considerably more reliable than other profiled birds.
Now, if I had a full tank of gas in the Bell and in the Robinson, if both had a full tank of gas, both taking off at the same time, which is going to stay in the air longer?
Oh, the 407 for sure. The 407 would last a lot longer.
Okay.
The 22 has a pretty good capacity and it's pretty good for small missions, but with the 407, you can fly a long time and you can carry a lot of things in it. You can go to a lot higher altitudes and be stable, and it's better in a variety of temperatures. It's more stable at different air speeds. You have more power settings. It's definitely the best helicopter for rescue missions. It has a long range for those type of things. You can search in a Bell for hours to try to find victims.
Does the Bell 407 have a longer endurance than some of the Eurocopters?
They call those Eurocopters Airbus helicopters now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them. Some of them may be better than others. Overall, though, I would still say the Bell 407, probably the best of all of them. Any aircraft you can pick, I think you can put the 407 up against it, and I bet you're going to come out just fine, if not better off.
All right, full endorsement of the 407. So if my buddy goes hiking, he gets stuck somewhere out on a ledge in the mountains, it's the 407 that's coming to rescue him, or what kind of helicopter is probably coming to rescue my buddy stuck in the mountains because he's an idiot?
Well, in that situation, it's going to depend on how far they need to search the search area, but you probably, like I said, you're still going to go with a Bell or maybe a Huey or maybe a Jayhawk. I really like the Jayhawks. Jayhawk is probably my favorite. But this all depends on the situation, but I would bet they're probably going to use a Bell in a situation like that.
Yeah, the Jayhawk's your favorite, right? I know you told me before you really like the Jay.
Yes, I like the Jayhawk. The Jayhawk is a very, very capable helicopter. It is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It has a great track record.
And it has some really cool features, you said, too, that the others don't have, stuff that people haven't heard of even that's...
Yes, it has some great features that other helicopters do not. It has a retractable in-flight fueling probe, for example, so you can refuel in midair, which greatly extends the range and endurance of it.
That's interesting.
It has a lot of enhanced avionics and navigation systems, too. It's a fantastic piece of equipment.
Nice.
You can use it for rescue operations. It has night vision capability with hoists. You can use it for rescuing swim teams. It's a very versatile bird.
Nice. And you've done where do you see those mostly? Like military, law enforcement, government?
Well, where you'll mostly see the M860 Jayhawk is with the Coast Guard, the United States Coast Guard. That's what they use. That's their, yes, the Coast Guard uses them. You'll also see some law enforcement agencies use them. You'll see some governments around the world use them. It has a lot of advanced capabilities. that make it very attractive for those kinds of
Interesting.
operations, as well as humanitarian aid. It's great for humanitarian aid. There's many humanitarian relief missions that use them, combat operations, border security.
Who are the humanitarian companies that are going to have a Jayhawk for?
Well, I won't say the names here, but believe me, some of the most popular organizations you're familiar with who are involved in rescue operations are using an M860 Jayhawk, I can assure you.
All right, that's quite interesting. Gil, this is it's always fun chatting with you. Always great insights into the helicopters and flying, and what a great life you lead. Great talking with you again. Okay.
It was wonderful to talk with you, Birdman. It's always wonderful to talk with you.
Thanks again. And there he goes, folks.
Thank you for listening to the Junior Birdman Podcast. Be sure to like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notifications bell to be alerted when new videos are posted.